Hi everyone, good to see you again. It's Kim from winterandsparrow.com, and today I'm back to talk about more weight loss surgery related things. One of the things I wanted to talk about, and it always surprises me, is how many people don't know what you should and shouldn't do after you have weight loss surgery. Now, always follow your doctor's instructions, of course, about what you can take or eat and what you shouldn't. But I wanted to touch on these important things, and it looks like I'm looking at my list here. I've got 9 things that I don't recommend that you do after you have weight loss surgery, especially gastric sleeve. But first, this important message. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, let's start with number 1. Remember, these are the things you should not do after weight loss surgery. This list is based on what my own doctor has told me, what other doctors have told me, and what my own personal research has told me. Now, you don't want to end up having to have a revision surgery. In other words, you don't want to have a second gastric sleeve. Let's start with number 1. You should not take ibuprofen or Nsaids after weight loss surgery. This includes things like Motrin, Advil, Aleve. Those are the top 3. You don't want to take those. Why don't you want to take those? Well, they're known to increase acid in the stomach. So more acid can lead to irritation, can lead to ulcers, can also lead to deterioration of the staple line in gastric sleeve patients such as myself. So instead of taking Aleve, Motrin, or Advil, or even aspirin, you don't want to take that, you need to take Tylenol, acetaminophen. So wasn't a huge fan of acetaminophen products before, but I am now because that's all I can take for my pain. So don't take ibuprofen products or Nsaids. You don't want to end up with your staple line deteriorating. Number 2. Now, there's a mixed opinions out there on this one. So hear me out. Number 2, you don't want to drink carbonated anything. Now, I hear and I've read and I've seen some weight loss surgery patients about after a year of surgery, they resume drinking things like diet soda. Now, to me, it doesn't make sense to do that. Number 1, the carbonation in soda is basically air bubbles. And we have such a small stomach, a small area in there. Why would we want to introduce something with air into our stomach? It doesn't make sense. Also, carbonated drinks also have acid in them. Why would I want to introduce more acid into my stomach? Not for me. I'm already, trying to keep my acid under control with the medication that I take, omeprazole. So to me, carbonation is just a no-go. And before surgery, I was a huge Diet Pepsi fan. I mean, huge. I also was a Pellegrino and Perrier fan, carbonated water. But I've given that all up. I'm just not going to do it. I don't need more gas. I don't need more air bubbles. I don't need anything irritating my stomach. So I'm saying no to the diet soda. Also, if you think about it, if you get comfortable with drinking diet soda, who's to say you won't start sneaking in a regular soda from time to time? And we know regular soda is full of sugars, and more sugar means weight gain. So to me, don't even bring that taste or that behavior back into your life. Just say no to carbonated anything. The next thing is, don't use a straw. Now, I was at our monthly weight loss surgery support group meeting last month, and what did I see but a fellow gastric sleeve patient drinking from a straw. Well, I'm not anybody's mother, so I didn't say anything to her. But also, when you sip from a straw, the straw's empty. So when you sip through it, what's going into your stomach is nothing but air. So that's another thing. You're filling up your stomach with air, which could lead to filling up your small pouch unnecessarily, introducing more air bubbles. That's just not something I want to do. I mean, I have a hard enough time fitting my protein into my small stomach as it is. I don't need it to compete with things like air bubbles in the air from a straw. So your doctor may or may not mention it, but just avoid the straws, really. When I go to things like Starbucks, or if I go out to eat and they give me a straw, I just take the lid off and I drink straight from the drink, or I don't use the straw. I don't want to compete with more air in my stomach. I don't need it. So the next thing, this is also a mixed one. I know a lot of people do this about a year or two after surgery, but for me, I'm going to say you really shouldn't do it. Drinking alcohol. Now, I know, it's a big one. A lot of people like a glass of wine or whatever, but I'm going to say don't do it. Now, once again, it's your choice between you and your doctor, but alcohol also has a lot of sugars in it. Now, to me, if you give me a little bit of sugar, what it does is it starts cravings. It brings back cravings. And if you had a problem with, let's say, alcohol intake, or you were a regular craver of sugar before surgery, why would you want to bring that back into your life? Now, you're talking alcohol, maybe you get comfortable with having one glass of wine after work or whatever. Who's to say you won't increase that? Now you've added, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 700 empty calories into your diet. And what happens when you add empty calories and you don't burn them off is you gain weight. And I just don't want to risk that of I've worked too hard. So I am saying no to the alcohol. Another thing is and I've done research on this, and also research has been done on this, is that people who've undergone weight loss surgery are at a higher risk for alcohol use disorders. Number one, because if you drink after surgery, one drink hits you fast because your absorption rate has changed. So one alcoholic drink could feel like you've had 3 or 4. So some people like that, yeah, but you hop in the car after one drink and you think you're fine, and then you get pulled over, and yeah. I don't want to have to worry about the added calories, the added sugar. I also don't want to, I consider my small pouch prime real estate. Kind of silly to say that, but that's how I look at it. And alcohol, I just gotta evict it. I mean, it's not a thing that I want to risk drinking, because I don't want to enjoy what alcohol does to me. Therefore, I start drinking more. And I don't want to worry about replacing one bad habit with another. In other words, I was a sugar junkie before. Well, now I can't be a sugar junkie, so what? Now am I going to be an alcohol junkie? I don't even want to have to worry about that. But if you're interested in researching it for yourself, it's the Journal for Surgery for Obesity and Related Diseases. So you can look that up and check out the research for yourself. Also, if you've had the gastric bypass, you know drinking alcohol puts you at an increased risk for dumping. And I hear dumping's no fun. Now, since I've had gastric sleeve, I haven't experienced dumping, but for, you know, those of you who have bypass, you know that the dumping is no fun. So I'm saying just don't do the alcohol. Just don't even introduce that into your life. Now, number 5, this is another thing you shouldn't do, is drinking with your meals. Always wait 30 minutes between drinking and eating. Now, I'm not saying you can't go out to dinner, order a glass of water, and take a sip of it if your food gets stuck or something. That's fine. Your doctor will probably tell you that's fine. That's what I've done. But you don't want to sit there and chug down a whole glass of water while you're eating. Why? Because your stomach is small, and what happens is the fluid will kind of flush the food out of your stomach, which means all your nutrients just don't have a lot of time to get absorbed there or in your small intestine. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason is water has a tendency to fill you up, and if you're full, you're not going to get in your protein or your veggies. So try not to drink with your meals other than small sips. It's going to be difficult in the beginning to get into that habit, but once you start following the rule, it becomes easier, I promise you. Number 6, you do not want to stop taking your vitamins and minerals under any circumstance. At one of my last surgeon's appointments, I met a nurse who told me a story about her best friend who had gastric bypass and just got tired of taking vitamins twice a day and calcium supplements twice a day. So she just stopped taking them altogether. What happened was her body wasn't getting the nutrients it needed, so it was pulling calcium from her bones. It was short on B12 and other things. Long story short, she eventually died from, like, I think it was malnutrition and some other disorder. I'm not telling you that to scare you. I'm telling you that because it's realistic. Since we're not eating as much, we're not getting all the vitamins. So that's why we rely on our vitamins to help supplement us. So I know they're a pain, and even I get tired of taking them, but then I think back to her story, and I think back to all the things I've researched and what my doctors told me, and I just suck it up, take the vitamins. 2 vitamins twice a day, 2 calcium pills twice a day. I just incorporate it into my routine. So, and after all of you have to do to get approved for weight loss surgery, and once you lose weight, do you want to really feel like crap when you're thin? Oh, yay, look at me, I'm skinny, but I feel like crap. No, you don't want to, and if you don't take your vitamins, you just might feel like crap because you're not going to have the iron you need or the B12, any of those other important vitamins and minerals. You just don't want to do it. So that's something you shouldn't do. Don't skip your vitamin and calcium supplements, please. And you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on them. You don't have to get the ones labeled for bariatric surgery patients. I take Citracal, and I believe the vitamin supplement I use might be Nature Made. I'll have to double check. It's either Nature Made or one a day. But you do not have to take a vitamin or mineral supplement labeled just for bariatric patients. Once again, check with your doctor, but I've had no issue. And the last time I had my blood checked, everything was perfect. Now that hasn't happened in forever, especially considering, I have multiple sclerosis diagnosis and my vitamin D has always been low. Well, guess what? Since I started taking vitamins every day, my vitamin D level was normal for like the first time in forever. So it's important. Don't skip those. Number 7, you don't want to not drink enough water. Now, I know you're going to get tired of hearing this, but it's so important. When you think about, I think it's like 90% of the body is made up of water, but everything in your body needs water. Um, you don't want to end up having to go to the hospital because you're dehydrated. Um, yeah, they give you infusion, solve the problem right there. But who's got time for that? Who really wants to do that? Not me. I'd rather spend my time somewhere else. So get your water in. It's going to be a struggle in the beginning, right after surgery. But also, I promise you, the more you work on it, the more you make it a habit, it does get easier. Get into a habit of how you drink your water throughout the day. If you need to keep track of it, there's apps for that. But don't skip on the water. You need the water. Symptoms of dehydration include dizziness, fainting, feel weak, disoriented. Doesn't sound like fun to me. Hopefully your doctor has stressed the importance of drinking water and staying hydrated. The other thing you don't want to do is not exercise. Now, as I mentioned, I have MS, fibromyalgia, and arthritis. So I don't do high intensity workouts. It's impossible for me. Number 1, my body can't handle it. Number 2, my joints can't handle it. Number 3, I don't want to feel worse after I exercise. So exercising can be many things. Yoga is my form of exercise. It's definitely helped me. Also, I use the resistance bands. That has helped me build up strength. Anything you're doing like that, even though it may not feel like it, you're still burning calories when you do those resistance bands or you do yoga. Even just a brisk walk inside or outside your home, you're burning calories. You don't let anybody tell you you have to go do burpees and squats and all of that, and that's the only way. If you're able to do that after surgery, great. I'm happy you can. But if you can't, do, do an alternative. Just don't skip the exercising, whether it's the yoga or using the resistance bands or some light weights. I use those sometimes. It's going to help your body get stronger. It's going to help you feel better. It's going to help you burn calories more efficiently. So don't skip the exercise. So if you didn't like exercise before, you need to start psyching yourself up for it because you're going to need to do it, especially as you lose weight and your skin starts to become a little bit saggy. Exercise is going to help, build that muscle and make the flabbiness less apparent, I guess. The final thing, and it's the most important to me, the one thing you shouldn't do after weight loss surgery is get complacent. In other words, get comfortable. What I mean by that is this. Now, getting complacent can be where you go over to someone's house and they offer you a piece of cake and you eat the piece of cake. Then you go home and you're hungry and you're still craving sweets, so you have more sweets. Getting complacent means not taking your vitamins. It means not exercising. It means not drinking your water. It means falling back into old behaviors. Now, I constantly have to keep myself in check. I am such a sugar junkie. It is a constant battle for me. Constant battle. I am a chocoholic. Hello, my name is Kim and I'm a chocoholic. Nice to meet you. Hello, welcome. No, seriously, I am a chocoholic, and I recently went through a very stressful experience, which I won't talk about here because I don't want to bum you all out. But I found that I was eating Hershey's.
And this is where the video camera randomly cut off. So let me finish the story. After my stressful experience, I found that I was eating Hershey's Kisses. 1 here, 2 there, 3 there. And what was happening was the more I ate, the more I craved. Well, guess what? I started putting on some weight. Not pounds, but I noticed ounces. And this is pretty much an example of becoming complacent because I allowed myself to eat those Hershey's Kisses. So that's the type of thing that you want to avoid, is you're going to have to monitor your behaviors, monitor your thought process. So you don't want to fall back into those old addicting behaviors or addictive behaviors, so to say. So sorry about the video cutting off, but I wanted to finish that story for you. So I hope you found these things helpful. Once again, this has been 9 things that I don't recommend that you do after weight loss surgery. So thank you so much for watching, and be sure to leave a comment if you have a question. You can also message me, find me over on the Winter and Sparrow blog. And please hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for visiting me today. I hope you found this helpful.